The Shogenji Temple is in central Japan. It belongs to the Rinzai school of Zen Buddhism and is a special center where Zen monks undergo training. The 8th day of the 12th lunar month sees the beginning of a week of intensive meditation and religious discourse. The week is called Rohatsu Ozeshin. On the evening before it begins, an atmosphere of tense determination fills the monastery. Rohatsu Ozeshin is associated with the enlightenment of Shakyamuni, the Buddha, after he saw the morning star on the 7th day of his seated meditation under the Bodhi tree. For the monks in training, it is the most important period of Zen practice and a climax in their monastic life, one which measures the effectiveness of the past 12 months of training. This, at last, is the Rohatsu Ozeshin you have all waited for. For 7 days, you will sit as if it were a single day. This training period is aptly called a monk killer, but I ask you all to put every possible effort into it and not to spare yourself in any way. Master and monks gather together in the dining hall and drink tea poured from the same container. This strengthens the sense of unity between them in their training, and they pledge to devote themselves totally to the meditations that will begin the next day. Rohatsu Ozeshin normally takes place at the beginning of December, but at the Shogenji it begins in accordance with the lunar calendar on the 15th of January, when the weather is at its hardest and coldest. It lasts for 7 days. It is now midnight on the 14th. In the meditation hall, the atmosphere has gradually become tenser. The monks lie down to sleep. Ozeshin will begin at 3 in the morning. They have time for only a short nap before then. Among the monks, there are several newcomers who are about to experience Rohatsu Ozeshin for the first time. Harumi Asayama is one. In April last year, when the cherry blossoms were beginning to fall, he came here to the Shogenji to undergo training. To become a Zen priest, one must enter a Zen monastery for the proper training. In other words, one must follow the training of an unsui. Harumi Asayama is the son of a Zen priest. Since childhood, he has intended to follow in his father's footsteps. But will he be able to accustom himself to the isolated monastic life, so well known for its strict discipline? He can't help but feel anxious. I have come with a request. What do you want? I'm from the Kwanonji Temple of Izumo City in Shimane. My name is Harumi Asayama. I'm the disciple of Keishu Asayama. I've come here to stay and receive training. Please take my request to the abbot. Please wait here a moment. His request to enter the monastery is in accordance with the traditional rules he has been taught. After a short while, the Shikaryo, who is the chief monk or administrator of a Zen monastery, appears. The monastery is full. There is no room, so we cannot accept you. Please leave immediately. It is a polite but blunt refusal, with the explanation that the monastery is full and that therefore there is no room for him. But he must not be discouraged. Until he is granted permission to enter the monastery, he will remain sitting here. On the same day, the employees of a local company are at the monastery for a brief training course. The modest way of life and the training and concentration given here are looked on with favor today as things that are hard to come by in modern society. Brief courses of this nature have now become part of the annual calendar of events at the monastery. The figure of Asayama sitting perfectly still in the entrance hall, wearing his straw sandals, brings curious looks from the young visitors, about the same age as he is, as they pass. It began raining in the afternoon. Asayama's hands and feet have become numb, and his joints are hurting. But there is no word from inside the monastery. It has been a long day for him. In the evening, he is at last given a meal of leftovers and a room for the night. But this does not mean that he has been given permission to enter the monastery. He is told to leave early in the morning. He will therefore have to stay in the same posture all day tomorrow. Why is it that a cold refusal, even if only a formality, is given repeatedly and without exception to those who wish to take up Zen training? It is, in fact, a test to see how strongly the applicant is determined to embark on the program of training. The final goal of Zen, Satori, or enlightenment, is not something that can be learnt from another. It can only be attained by the seeker himself. The key to the path to enlightenment is the strength of the seeker's motivation and his single-minded determination. On the 5th day, Asayama is given permission to enter the monastery and begin training. He has spent 2 days in supplication, during which time he kept up his posture of low bowing, and passed through a 3-day test period of provisional admission. About 2 weeks later, together with 2 other novices who were granted admission at the same time, Asayama goes to exchange greetings with his Zen master. Their relationship is now that of master and disciple. A Roshi, or Zen master, is one who has attained the same level of Satori as Shakyamuni. A Zen disciple acts towards his master in the same way as when he worships Buddha. The 3 newcomers, having been given permission to enter the monastery, make a vow not to leave it until they have found Satori. The introduction of the 3 to the meditation hall is accomplished by a single phrase, which means new trainees have joined. No names are mentioned, nor anything about the trainees. There are about 30 unsui in this monastery, including some who have been here for almost 10 years, some who have come from other monasteries, family men, and men from the world of commerce. Their backgrounds are many and varied, but in Zen, in which everything is relative to that single moment each person seeks, the past and the outside world are of no importance. The meditation hall is described by words on the wall outside it, the Senbutsujo, the place where those capable of reaching Satori and becoming Buddhas are made. It is a holy place that does not easily allow laymen to approach. A single tatami mat, 3.5 feet wide and 7 feet long, is assigned to each monk. This is where he sleeps and where he performs his seated meditation. Traditional Japanese Zen Buddhism is divided into 3 schools: the Soto, Rinzai, and Obaku. The Rinzai school has 39 special centers in different parts of Japan. The Shogenji is one of these. In Zen Buddhism, a monastery is likened to a grove of trees. Trees in a grove will grow straight and submissively, even though competing with one another. But trees growing in isolation extend their branches self-indulgently. Monks in training are the same. It is paramount that they have a clean environment, good company, and a strict master. At 3 in the morning on the 15th of January, Rohatsu Ozeshin begins with the ringing of the morning bell. From this moment until dawn, 7 days later, the monks will make an intense effort with neither sleep nor rest, as if the entire week were but a single day. There is still some time before daybreak. The cold is piercing. With a single pinch of salt and a ladle full of water, the monks rinse their mouths and wash their faces. He finishes his preparations and dons his robe. Everything is done in haste. In the monastery, time is precious. The Unsui have to reach Satori as soon as possible. They must not waste a single moment. At about the same time as the Unsui are getting up in the meditation hall, there is one corner of the monastery where the lights are already on and work is in full swing, the kitchen, where meals for the whole monastery are prepared. Normally 2 monks share the duties here, but during Ozeshin, all the work is entrusted to just one monk. The morning rice gruel is cooked in a large iron cauldron, as it has always been. The fuel is firewood gathered on the hillsides by the Unsui. The rice and vegetables collected by the monks during their begging, no matter how little, must never be wasted. Kitchen duties are looked upon as the most suitable of all the tasks in a monastery for the monk's training. The cook takes charge of the provisions and thus the health of his fellow monks, and the work demands unobtrusive service and heavy labor. Dogen, the 13th century founder of the great Eheji monastery of the Soto school, crossed to China to study Zen, and while there, is said to have experienced sudden satori through the speech and activities of an elderly cook. This episode is a good illustration of the inner workings of Zen training and the importance of the cook, for without labor and ingenuity in the use of everyday routines and experience, there is no satori. After morning seated meditation and a visit to the Zen master for instruction, breakfast is served at 5 o'clock before it is light. The monks take turns waiting upon each other. The quantity of food served is determined by hand signals, which indicate when a monk feels he has received enough. Before the meal, the monks chant a scripture to give thanks for the food, which has come to them through the charity of others. With each meal, they rededicate themselves to the search for truth. A few grains of rice are put to one side as an offering to hungry spirits. The meals in the monastery are very simple. Today's breakfast consists of rice gruel with rice cakes left over from the new year and a few pieces of pickled radish. The dining room is another important place for training. It is one of the 3 halls of silence, the others being the meditation hall, where zazen, seated meditation, is done, and the bathhouse. Even whispering is forbidden. Manners demand that no noise should be made while handling the dishes, while eating the gruel, or when biting the pickles. Until one is accustomed to this, it is not always easy. Every last drop of water must be used. This is the spirit of the Zen monastery. The monks use their tea to wash their bowls and then drink it. During Ozeshin, routine activities such as manual labor and begging are brought to a halt, and the Unsui concentrate only on meditation, day and night. Zazen is a way of meditation handed down over the centuries from India. It is a systematic way of searching for Satori by unifying body and mind through control of one's breathing. The correct manner of sitting erect is adopted. The body forms a pyramid, with the head as the apex and the legs crossed to form part of the base. Next, the breathing is regulated. Breathing normally tends to be short and shallow. For Zazen, it must be longer and deeper. If this is done correctly, the body will not feel cold even in the middle of winter. Lastly, the mind must be controlled. All rambling thoughts and worldly desires are put away. The object is to attain a state of detachment. In other words, Satori. At intervals between periods of Zazen, Kinhin, meditation while walking, is performed. The monks walk around the meditation hall rapidly. This light physical exercise enables them to relax their stiff bodies and drives away drowsiness. It is, in a manner of speaking, moving Zazen. It artfully combines movement and stillness. Ozeshin is described as deadly, difficult, but it never forces irrational penance on the monks or austerities that ignore the limits of the human body. The midday meal is taken at 10:30 a.m. and consists of rice, miso soup, and a side dish. The evening meal consists of gruel made from leftover rice and vegetables. No animal products are ever consumed. Sanzen, meeting the Zen master, takes place 4 times a day between 4 and 9. It is one of the 2 principal activities during intense training, the other being Zazen, seated meditation. The master gives each monk a koan, which is a problem to be solved. One by one, the monks enter the master's room and recite their answers. The master considers each one. If the master sees that a monk is straying from the correct path in his training, he corrects his efforts. Truth in Zen can only be communicated directly from the mind of the master to that of his disciple. Third persons are strictly excluded from this room. Here, 2 minds meet in intense confrontation, and the outcome of the interview is unpredictable. The clash of minds is in earnest. The words exchanged between master and disciple regarding any particular koan are strictly a private matter between the 2. No one else is ever told what has been said. When the master rings the bell, it is a sign of an unsatisfactory answer. The monk must withdraw and come again. Zen teaches that Buddha is inside the mind of each of us, not outside. The goal of Zen training is to bring the trainee face to face with his true self, the Buddha within. We have all lost sight of our true selves, misled by the multitude of apparent choices and deceptions of the perceived world. Does a dog possess the Buddha nature? Listen to the sound of one hand clap.